we've got a few minutes left, but I just want to squeeze in the big topic of this podcast, really, which is why is Glastonbury so white? It often falls to comedians to ask the questions no one else will. In this case, it was Lenny Henry. He was talking to the Radio Times, I believe. And it just at one point kind of comes out with this point about when he's watching Glastonbury on television, he wonders why the crowd is quite so vanilla. This is a kind of recurring thing, not with Lenny Henry, or not singling him out, where again, it's some kind of big public event, it's a protest, and there's this question about why is this crowd so white? There's a kind of recurring feature, it seems like, on BBC News, where they take some sort of leisure pursuit and wonder why it's so white, whether that's
walking in the countryside and stuff like that.
Cycling was another one they flagged up. So, Luke, what do you make of this kind of tendency towards almost like racial bean counting in all situations? What's that?
Well, I notice it only ever applies to specific events. So I remember being on some of the Remainer marches just to have a look at what was going on, and it was the whitest place I've ever been. It was undoubtedly. I mean, I think it's a real shame to look at everything through that lens and to reduce an event like Glastonbury to the fact that most people are there are white. I mean, Glastonbury, you need some commitment to get there. You need money. You need to sit there on the waiting list and try and wrangle your way to get a ticket. So who knows? Maybe I genuinely don't know why the majority of people there are white. I mean, it's a diverse lineup this year, it's worth saying. But it's not a kind of culturally homogenous place. It is somewhere where different kinds of music are performed. There's no reason necessarily why the audience should be white. But nonetheless, I think it's slightly ridiculous to reduce these events in this way. And I think it's sad because I also think that, when Lenny Henry says it's interesting, there is something else going on there, which I can't quite characterize. Why is it interesting? What are you saying? Are you suggesting that, the algorithm that selects people for tickets is racist? Are you suggesting that this is some grand, that there is some sociological insight here? I doubt it. I think it's more about, I suppose, making a point for the sake of making the point. And I think when we live in an increasingly racially harmonious society, I would argue, it's sad to see things through that lens.
And Julie Birchall on Spike this week suggested that the reason Glastonbury was so white is just because only smelly white middle class balls want to hang out with other
very
middle
probably
class balls.
True,
Quite
very
plausible.
Probably true.
But Paul, what's your theory?
Well, exactly that, what Julie said, really, because it's mainly kind of white middle class students from the home counties, isn't it? So, of course, in the same way that if you went to a rap festival, I suppose the demographic would be very different. I just think some people are obsessed with, you talked about bean counters, Tom, and it is almost as if people are seeking in every pursuit, in every public event, in every walk of life, people are seeking some kind of perfect pro rata representation in everything. And if it doesn't fall that way, then there must be something wrong. There must be something structurally wrong. There must be some innate racism or something that we're just not getting. And the truth is, look, some people and people from different backgrounds are interested in things that other people are not particularly interested in, or they might go to events that other people might not particularly want to go to. And I just don't look. I'm a great believer that, of course, you want to break down barriers, and no one should ever be prevented from going to an event or from pursuing something they want to pursue because of their race or whatever. We're all agreed that would be completely unacceptable. But equally, I just don't buy into this kind of social engineering, which says that unless you have got this kind of hyper diverse outcome that people want the whole time, and unless you achieve it, then there's something wrong, and we have to look in the mirror and we have to kind of go in for this self-flagellation every time. I don't buy it, and it needs to be resisted.